Oh, welcome to the family hour of our Hiawa blog. It's great to be with you. We've got Kevin up there now in your own property. It looks like
Right.
you've had some rain though.
We did get a little rain, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
looks a little
more
muddy
on the way
down
tonight.
on the road. Yeah, we could get some too. We've got a storm that's going all around us. Okay, well, that was quite the warning as the civil defense or something. Anyway, good to see you, Kevin. Thanks for all the hard work during the week. Dr. Jeff, you've been a real hit on the show. Thank you for being back.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here. Shabbat shalom, mishpacha.
Shalom. You're here on, you're not at work today again. You're
No,
on
I'm
call,
not at work, but still getting calls.
but still getting calls. All right. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. But that's the life of a doctor. That never changes. Davey, you're in Van Gogh's world.
Yeah.
Starry Night. How's things working out for you?
Doing good. Staying
Okay.
busy.
Life's good in Texas.
Oh yeah. Got
Okay.
a nice
Good.
cool rain came through, brought in a nice cool weather, so it's nice.
Okay. Yeah. It's by this time of year you are finished with the summer and tired of it. Enough.
No more
enough
100
heat.
degrees.
No more 100 degrees. Yeah, the thing that bothered me the most about Texas is not it being 110 to 115 during the day and high humidity. It cooled all the way down to like 107 at night.
Yeah.
And when you walk out and it's 10, 11 o'clock at night and it's still almost 110 degrees, that is oppressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my least, well, not my least favorite. My least favorite part of Texas is the religiosity and the politics of the place. My anti-religious and anti-political views did not fit well in Texas. I could not do much in public because they were always trying to figure out a way to be political and religious.
Oh yeah.
We've got Miss Leia and Mr. Wookie over here on stage left. Oh. So cute, Wook. So you're back in the show world here again. Good for you.
Yeah, he was tasked with being co-host tonight.
Yeah, Leia, as you know, has another dog. The other
A new
dog
puppy,
is
Kara.
Kara. Kara is a handful, though. She is a very bright girl. She's full of energy. She's very curious. She plays well with both dogs and people. Got a great disposition. But oh my God, is she wiggly? And she's got the puppy I'm teething, biting. So
Yeah.
Ears, noses, fingers,
Toes, whatever is around.
Anything is an opportunity to teeth. And hey, Rich, how are you?
I'm good.
Boy, we've got Rich over there now. It just looks like he's in his normal element. But between Rich and I now, there's like 400 pounds of gear. He is literally surrounded by screens and lights and multiple computers and switches.
A few hundred feet of cable at least.
Oh, yeah. Hundreds and hundreds of feet of cables from the back of these electronic devices and boards. There's like 20, 30 cables coming out the back of each of them. So, yeah, it's quite a production that Rich is doing there. So thank you, Rich.
No problem.
That was an interesting week for this particular program where we are addressing the identity of the Antichrist. And we've identified the Antichrist based upon very comprehensive analysis of the prophets. And the prophets told us that the Antichrist would arrive at this time. Now, they don't call him Antichrist because all of the prophets wrote in Hebrew, and there's no Christ, obviously, in Hebrew. It just happens to be a term that people are familiar with. He is known as the Torahless One, the Great Betrayer. The Assyrian is one of his titles. The Adversary, the Prince of Evil. He has a whole lot of Halal ben Shakar. He has a whole lot of titles. It is basically the final rendition of Hasatan, Satan, the adversary, and he is in a corporeal body. So he has possessed someone. And so we knew it had to happen at this time because we're told expressly both in Daniel and in Isaiah that Israel will be leaned at the waist and become indefensible.
Absolutely.
As a direct result of the actions of this individual. And this individual is going to make a treaty that's going to be confirmed by many. And Daniel, it's with 10 individuals, bone-headed blowhards, if you will. They're called horns, boneheaded blowhards. There's 10 of those. And Daniel is just with many. With Isaiah, it's with many, but so we're told that that's going to occur, and we're told in Isaiah that's going to concur prior to the fulfillment of Shabbat, which begins the time of Jacob's troubles, which is 7 years long. So that means it has to be the Shabbat in 2026, just 7 months from now. May 22nd, a Shabbat on May 22nd is that date. So,
wait, can we stick a pin in that?
Well,
that is 7 months.
7 months away, yeah.
7 months. Wrap your head around that.
Yeah, that is when the time of Israel's troubles begins, and it's going to be the worst experience in the history of mankind, and particularly in the history of Jews. And we're going to get to that in a moment. So we know we're 7 months away from it, and we know that Israel is going to be thinned at the waist to become indefensible. And there's going to be a state of terror, which means an Islamic state is going to be carved out of the heart of Israel. Very much like Neville Chamberlain did with the high ground of Czechoslovakia. I'm sure you guys recall at least reading about that. I'm the only one to be old enough to.
America.
Even I wasn't that old. But no. Well, it depends on which prophecy you're reading. It could be a few thousand years old.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, the fact of the matter is it was Neville Chamberlain who gave what was not his to give, the high ground of Czechoslovakia. He gave it to Adolf Hitler and the Nazis to appease them, to avoid war. And of course, all it did is inspired the Nazis, and it vaulted Hitler into a more prominent position of power. And
it was the springboard for the World War.
And it brought the Third Reich. If the First Reich is Imperial Rome and the Second Reich is the Holy Roman Empire or the Roman Catholic Church, then the Third Reich was the rise of Nazi Germany. And that is the catalyst moment that ignited Hitler's final rise to power. The meaning that actually was as significant for Hitler's rise to power, though, is not well known by a lot of people. And we're going to make this comparison to the Third Reich to the Fourth Reich, and it was Hitler's Pope before Pope became Pius XII.
Yep.
As a cardinal, he was responsible cardinal from the area around Germany, and so he went to Hitler, and it was the longest, most detailed negotiation in Hitler's life, and the conclusion of their negotiation between the cardinal who became Pope Pius, Hitler's Pope, and Adolf Hitler was that the Roman Catholic Church would have exclusive control over all religion in Germany and in all conquered territories.
All Nazi territories, yes.
So all Nazi territories and in Nazi Germany, the Roman Catholic Church would be exclusive.
Supreme.
In religion. And for that, the Catholic Party, which was, I think, either the second largest, could have been the third largest, but first, second, third largest political party in Germany would be given to Adolf Hitler.
Votes. The votes would be given to Hitler.
Yes. Total control of the party. It was Hitler's to administer politically. So that was the deal. And that deal is the deal that ultimately vaulted Hitler into a position of power. And then ultimately the deal that Neville Chamberlain made, giving Hitler Czechoslovakia, was the one that established Hitler with the generals, the field marshal, so that he could control the murderous machine that became Nazi Germany.
And we all know that after the war, the Vatican's Red Cross allowed these Nazi criminals to get away.
Of course, yeah. But so the ultimate two deals are for the rise of what he called the Third Reich, which is after Imperial Rome, the Roman Catholic Church, and the Holy Roman Empire, was a deal that he made with the man that became Pope Pius XII, Hitler's Pope. And what we're going to witness here is something that plays out identically to that. This time, the great betrayer he is not from Britain. Isaiah made it very clear, giving us some 72 attributes that this man was a meddling, egotistical confabulator and pervert over the United States. So the moment that Donald Trump won that last election, we came out immediately and said, "This is the great betrayer. This is the man." At that
Here's
point,
our guy. Yeah.
At that point, it would happen in his early in his second year of office, and it was obvious. There was the only way it could not be him is for him to keel over and die before May 22nd of next year. But
Craig,
yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to elaborate on, you're right on the money there. Little Leo, our friend Pope Pius XII, aka Eugenio Pacelli, during World War II, 1933, was the first Vatican diplomat and promised Hitler he'd disband the Catholic Party in a deal that protected the Vatican's rights in Germany. And when he did it, millions of Catholics joined the Nazi Party.
Correct.
Without Pacelli's contribution, he might never have come to power.
That's right.
There's no might. He would not have come to power. No. It was the most detailed and important negotiation in Hitler's entire life. Yeah. And when I said is that the Catholic Party would no longer exist, it became the Nazi Party. The Catholic political party became the Nazi political party. That was the gift.
One and the same.
And so it was the Roman Catholic Church that made Hitler's rise and therefore the Holocaust possible. And this is really something to keep in mind because Christianity bears enormous blame for this. And there's a parallel now as we go into the modern day Antichrist. So this is the rise to power of the Third Reich. And the propaganda of the Third Reich, you guys probably know the man who was responsible for the propaganda and the planning, how the Third Reich would present itself, its logos and its all of its images and that sort of thing.
Joseph Goebbels?
Yeah, Joseph Goebbels. So now we're witnessing the rise of the Fourth Reich. And now we have a new Goebbels. His name is Stephen Miller. You guys ever seen or heard of Stephen Miller?
Oh, gin-soaked Stephen Miller?
Yeah, he is absolutely the little twit that is stature, voice, attitude, rhetoric. He's Goebbels.
Yeah.
So we have a Goebbels.
The Trumpster skinhead?
Yeah. In this case, the MAGAs are the Nazis. They're the Nazi Party. Donald Trump is Der Fuhrer. He is the Antichrist. He is demon possessed, and he is the person that the prophet said would have tremendous and devastating influence in the world. We're told about his personality. We're told that he would be a copper con, that his coloration would be known for a copper color.
And goat hair.
We were told that he would have goat comb over hair. We were told that he would be a very old man, long in days.
And a pervert.
We're told that he would be a sexual pervert and extreme sexual pervert. It fits, doesn't it? We're told that he would be exceedingly dishonest, a confabulator, so that there'd be very little correlation between what he says and what's true. We're told that while he is going to be deadly and destructive, he's going to be a warmonger who claims to be a peacemaker. That while he's doing all of these things, that he will win affinity and the trust of one country,
Israel.
Israel. And that is where he's
Definitely
going.
more popular there than he is in America.
We know that once Hitler rose to power, there were no more meaningful elections until he was dead. Correct?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Trump has already announced that he will either run again in 28, and if they even hold elections, that he will either win those elections, or he will call those elections off, or he will call those elections unfair. That it is already determined by everyone in that administration and by Trump that he will be president past 2028.
Wow. Yeah.
And it is overtly acknowledged at this point. So something did happen that plays into the rise and fall of the Fourth Reich, and that is what we're witnessing today.
You had a global announcement today out of the Prime Minister of Canada,
Mm-hmm.
who basically said, we are done with the US. We are now looking inward. We'll be making our own steel. We're going to the Europeans for our weapons. They are not our trading partner anymore.
Well, that's hyperbole.
Yeah.
The largest trading partner of the United States is still Canada. And there is no way Canada can survive without trading with the United States. There's really no way that the United States can function without trading with Canada. We are each other's largest trading partner, and no matter how moronic Trump becomes, that is likely to continue. And a lot of time there's positioning with Trump
Rhetoric, yeah.
that people know that Donald Trump is literally the Hannibal Lecter of politicians,
Oh, yeah.
and that he is only good at one thing, and that is devouring anybody that is everyone that's around him. He will turn on everyone and he will devour them, and it's almost impossible to stand up to Donald Trump.
He threw his female prosecutor to the wolves.
Yeah, he is exceedingly mean-spirited. So one of the things that we found that affirmed all of this is that when Steve Bannon, who is as close an advisor to Trump as there ever has been,
Oh, yeah.
he said you might as well get accustomed to Donald Trump being president past 2028, which is unconstitutional, as you know. You can't have a third term. He said you might as well get accustomed to it because it's going to be a reality. And he says it is divine providence.
Oh, Bart.
Okay.
Repulsive.
Well, that's not
Not
the
the
point.
time anyone's used that phrase and it turned out well.
No, it hasn't.
Have
Yes, I
any of
agree.
you read Mein Kampf?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you familiar of the term divine providence in Mein Kampf?
Yes.
Sure.
It's pervasive.
Mhm.
Hitler claimed that his dictatorial rule as Der Führer, the leader, was divine providence. That divine providence always puts the best man in charge, and the best man was Adolf Hitler. So Mein
Kevin, I
Kampf,
think we need to make a meme of that. Mhm.
Mein Kampf is Hitler's struggle is based upon his perceptions that it was divine providence. That is what
It's true.
Steve Bannon
Yeah, that's
pronounced
true.
today, that it's divine providence.
That's
So
disgusting.
that is another major, you have this one right. Donald Trump is also torn down the entire east wing of the White House after saying he wouldn't touch it.
And Jesse's Rose
And
Garden.
his excuse now, well, to build it properly, it had to be torn down. Of course, there wasn't enough room to build a hallway next to the White House with the space between it and the executive office building that is on the eastern side. So the intent was always to tear it down. He just lied. But are you familiar with another grand ballroom that was designed and specified as a major product that might relate to all of this?
60,000 square feet on the end of the Reichstag. Yeah.
Adolf Hitler, 1932, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we have exactly the same thing,
Oh my goodness.
a grand ballroom.
Didn't even think of that. Oh my goodness.
Uh, the parallels are amazing. Hitler
Wait.
rose to power based upon the imposition of the brown shirts and then the Gestapo, which were dispatched not as foreign forces, but within Germany. Did he not?
Yes, he did.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, those the brown shirts were actually funded by Americans. George Herbert Walker and Prescott Bush were the leaders of funding them of the brown shirts. Henry Ford was also a significant participant. The brown shirts were
Hugo Boss.
a extraordinarily vicious group that terrorized Germany internally, and the Gestapo rounded up Jews and sent them to concentration camps. Correct?
That's right.
So, what has Trump done that no other president has done?
He has weaponized the DOJ to send in military troops into American cities, which is an
Well,
illegal move.
Yeah, it's not DOJ. You're talking about the War Department. He has
Or the
weaponized.
War
He has
Department,
turned the
sorry.
War Department. He even told the generals when he said, "American cities is where you're going to have a big part of your future career is focused
Training, yeah.
on the enemy within in America's cities." And so the brown shirts now are the National Guard, but will be the U.S. Army in American cities. And the Gestapo is ICE, where he has created his own Gestapo as ICE. The only difference is that Hispanics are his Jews.
For now.
Well,
So he has
For now.
for now.
There's something that is not very well known about Hispanics, particularly in certain countries. The mixture of Sephardic Jewish bloodlines within them is very high.
All right. With everything, everybody's Jewish. So you have brown shirts, you have Gestapo in American cities, and you have
Sure do.
then with Hitler, he started rattling his cage, the cage of nearby nations. He wanted Poland, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his initial threat was just Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
I want Austria. And so it was nearby nations that he sought to annex. Is there a nearby nation that has not done anything that would
Venezuela.
deserve Americans' ire, that he has positioned the U.S. military against flying B-52 bombers, nuclear-capable bombers, having the U.S. fleet off its coast?
Yeah. OPEC member, Venezuela. Yeah.
Yeah, Venezuela, which has now been armed defensively
By Russia and China.
by Russia and is now economically wed to China.
Mhm.
So we have the nearby neighbor to control, don't we? And of course, Trump wants to invade and control Greenland. He wants to take over Panama.
Yeah. Got to get the
So,
canal
same.
back. Yeah.
Same exact strategy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then there had to be a long-term war, the big war, the really big one. And with Hitler, it was called Operation Barbarossa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You guys familiar with Operation Barbarossa?
Yeah.
June 22nd, 1941.
You are familiar. It was the ultimate meat grinder for the Germans. The Germans lost the last World War because of Operation Barbarossa. What they found is that there was no end to the Russian willingness to fight to defend their homeland from creeps like Hitler and the Nazi Germans. Correct?
Yeah.
The Ballad of Stalingrad was important, but ultimately it was the Battle at Kursk, which is where the Ukrainians tried to invade Russia and got their clock cleaned here not too long ago. That ended the German ability to fight. Was in Kursk, next to the Ukrainian border now. And so what we have is exactly the same situation all over again, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Because Trump just decided he's not going to have another discussion with Vladimir Putin.
No.
He is not going to try to stop the war that America started against the Ukraine. For those who do not know, the Ukrainian proxy war was started by the United States 20 years ago. It is a CIA project that was advanced by 4 presidents in a row, and the CIA during all of that time, and the Department of Defense, all guidance, all weapons, all management, all the senior staff running that war in Ukraine against the Russians. Okay, come on. Well, are Americans and British officers.
Yeah.
It's run by the CIA, the U.S. military, and the British MI6.
Didn't last
He
long.
doesn't like. He likes iced tea. He doesn't like coffee. That's the bottom line here. I figured if I have coffee, then I get to drink it myself. If I get iced tea, I have to share it.
Wookie prefers cappuccino.
He does like cappuccino,
Yeah.
but not black coffee. I'm selfish, I guess. So you have Operation Barbarossa, which brought Nazi Germany to its knees, and now you have Donald Trump deciding he wants to be part of the warmongering through the Ukraine. He has called off all pretenses of peace discussions, all pretenses of no longer sending weapons, and he is scolding and damning Putin, who was not the aggressor in this war. The United States was the aggressor in this war. And that war has really taken some nasty turns here recently. I understand they've blown up the Crimean Bridge again. The Russians had their largest penetration, I think, is the Dnieper River, and which is a huge bridge in Ukraine that the Ukrainians blew up their own bridge to isolate Russians just after a huge amount of Ukrainians were captured. Now there are Russians that are in a meat grinder. That war has turned really nasty. And then there are now long-range missiles that have been brought to bear in the Ukraine. And this is a war where if you are an American or European, you need to hope to high heaven that the Russians win. Why would I say that?
Because the Russians, if they're losing, are going to nuke everybody.
That is correct.
They'll go
If we push the Russians into a corner where they are losing that war and are facing an invasion of the Russian homeland or destruction through missiles or this sort of thing, the Russians have already said unequivocally that they will resort to nuclear weapons and they will attack Europe and America. And they doubled down on that this week with Putin himself saying, if there are long-range missiles that are fired by the United States or Europeans that enter Russia, our response will be catastrophic.
Yeah. Hypersonic missiles now, not the old school ICBMs way up high, plenty of time to go get them. No, these are hypersonic. Nothing touches these things. Yeah.
Yes. And he's not going to shoot hypersonics with TNT inside of them.
No.
Furthermore, I watched the speech Putin gave.
Yeah.
And I've watched Putin for a very long time. What's interesting, I like to read body language. And what's interesting is that his eyebrows hardly ever move. The man's forehead is
totally stoic,
smooth as a baby's bum.
He is stoic.
This time when he made this announcement, I have seen his eyebrows raise possibly for the first time. I saw wrinkles in his forehead, that indicative of great anger. He is not bluffing.
No.
He's not bluffing.
The United States playing chicken with
an
Putin
idiot playing chicken with a mafia guy.
Because he is so out of touch with reality that he thinks that the American military can beat the Russians is Operation Barbarossa. We started the war. Now this is our Operation Barbarossa. It's following the story of the Third Reich is now the story of the Fourth Reich, which is why I present this always as the rise and fall of the Fourth Reich, because we're watching both simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow.
Hitler, in 1941. He was robbing Jews, and he was sending some Jews off to work camps. But for the most part, Jews were being exiled, robbed and exiled in 1941. Did Hitler have a meeting of any consequence in November of 1941?
Absolutely.
And who would that meeting have been with?
Haj
The Grand
Amin El
Mufti of
Husseini.
Jerusalem.
What was that guy's name again?
Haj Amin El Husseini, uncle of the skunk and scumbag Yasser Arafat.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And he was, what was his title? Husseini's
The
title.
Grand Mufti of Jerusalem.
Jerusalem.
Okay. And he met with Adolf Hitler in late 1941, did he not?
He certainly did.
Had anyone discussed a final solution prior to that time?
Absolutely not.
No.
Was there any mass execution of Jews
Before that time?
prior to that time?
No.
Nope.
No.
There were beatings and things like that.
So-
but no.
A Muslim, very high-ranking Muslim from the Middle East,
A murderous Muslim.
convinced Adolf Hitler in late 1941 to no longer exile Jews after robbing them, but to exterminate them. And immediately after that meeting, the high-ranking members of the SS and Nazi Party, within 2 months of that meeting, formed the final solution and decided they would exterminate Jews. And after that meeting, so here's the second religion, Islam. After that meeting, 6 million Jews were exterminated.
You have
As
the
a
nexus of,
sole result of that meeting.
you have
And
Chrislam,
all
as I
of
call
your-
it. You have the conference of Wannsee with Heydrich Reinhardt,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
who was one of the master orchestrators of the final solution.
correct. And his orchestration of it was immediately after the meeting that Hitler had with Hajjani and with the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. And in addition to that, the Grand Mufti promised to provide Muslim SS troops.
Yep.
The only
only
non-Aryans that became SS troops, correct?
Hansa division. The Hansa
Hansa.
division.
That is correct. All right. So we even had Muslims fighting on behalf of Adolf Hitler, correct? So
Yes.
is there a parallel here? So you got the MAGAs that are Christians, that are the political party that are responsible for Trump being in office, just like you had the Catholic political party that became the Nazi political party, vaulting Adolf Hitler into power. So you have an exact match, correct?
Imagine that.
And now you've got Trump bribed well over $20 billion now because to everything else we did on the real estate side and the airplane side and the investment capital side, you now have his Bitcoin deal, which is in the billions of dollars. We've got well over $20 billion worth of bribes from MBS of Saudi Arabia, Al Thani
Qatar.
of Qatar, and from the United Arab Emirates, correct?
Yeah.
So what did Trump say this week that would also play into him being the Antichrist? About Israel, Jews.
Oh,
He said, Israel cannot. I will not allow Israel
to annex the
to
West Bank.
annex the West Bank, which is actually Judea and Samaria.
Yes. Yeah.
God gave the land to them. It's their land. And he says, you cannot do it. I will not allow it. I made a deal with the Muslims around Israel that you would not do it and you will not do it. Now, why would Trump say that?
Yeah, because they own him. It's,
Well,
it's
first
not in
of all,
their interest.
Israel, because of the stupidity of its response to the Al-Aqsa flood on 10/7 of 23, and their foolishness of believing they could remove Hamas from Islamic Gaza, which was absolutely impossible and moronic, totally brain dead. And so in the process of doing the impossible and continuing it, he destroyed Gaza, turned it into a rubble pile, turned the entire world against Israel, isolated Israel, such that it put Trump, who is the Antichrist, in the position where he has absolute control over Israel. Israel is now a vassal of Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
So Donald J. Trump can tell Israel, jump, and Israel has to jump. It can say, bow down. When it said, get on your knees and apologize to Qatar for trying to kill Hamas. And guess what? Netanyahu had to get down on his knees and apologize to Qatar, which is the largest bank of international terrorism in the world.
And Israel's okay with it. Israel's okay with it. Let's give him the banners. Cyrus the Great.
Right. Donald Trump negotiated a deal that is 2,000 ruthless Islamic terrorists for 20 almost dead Israeli captives, and touted that as the greatest peace deal of all time, when in fact there's no peace. All there was is a trade with the devil. And Donald Trump actually was able to negotiate directly with Hamas because he's aided and abetted by the Muslims. He could speak directly to the devil and had influence over the devil and got the devil to do exactly what he wanted the devil to do, which is just astonishing. The reason that Donald Trump says, no, you cannot annex Judea and Samaria was because he made a promise to these Muslim dictators who bribed him, that bought the U.S. president and bought the U.S. military, that he would sponsor and he would assure the imposition of a Palestinian state. And that's why he said no. And I've been telling Israel this for now, a year, that this is exactly what the plan is. You're being betrayed. You're sitting here worshiping this man if he's the second coming of Cyrus, and he is the one who has already announced publicly that he is going to sponsor the creation of a Palestinian state on behalf of all of those Muslim nations, which is why all those Muslim nations were there at his Peace 25 conference. It is assured. And every other potentate that was there is an advocate for the establishment of a Palestinian state, when all that will do is make Israel indefensible and cause Israel to be destroyed.
Essentially, Halal Ben Shakar has declared that he's going to out-Trump Yahweh.
That is correct. He has. When we're dealing with Satan, and Satan is now the driving force of Donald Trump, the Democrats are trying to figure him out, and they are confused one day to the next because he does one stupid thing every day, so that they're never able to pin him on the last stupid thing because he's done something more stupid the next day than he did the previous day. And they just don't know what they're up against. They think he wants to be a king. He has no interest in being a king. He's Satan. He literally is Satan. He is not trying to save the world. He's trying to destroy it. He's not trying to make America better. He's trying to bankrupt America. Satan has had the same agenda from day one, which is to destroy humankind. He is an apartheid and genocide machine. Look at his most adroit religion, Islam. Islam has killed well over 250 million people, enslaved, plundered, and raped 3 times that number. Islam exists to rape and plunder and murder the world. All Muslims must commit to die killing for Allah. Total genocide. That is Satan's agenda. You want to now predict what Donald Trump is going to do day to day besides what the prophets have said? Think of how Satan has created the religion of Islam. You read the 5 books that I wrote called Goddamn Religion, you'll know everything he's going to do. Now, Satan has a type. The 2 most famous people in the world who have admitted that they were demon possessed, put it in writing and admitted they were demon possessed. Who would those 2 people be? What,
Shaul and Muhammad.
Paul and Muhammad, you are correct. So Paul admitted he was demon possessed in his second letter to the Corinthians, correct? Last chapter, second letter to the Corinthians. And it said that his ego was so uncontrollable, the only way that Satan had any influence over him, that he could manage him, was to make him demon possessed. That was the goad and his side by Paul's own admission, was a demon from Satan.
I find it funny
He
because
was-
I've heard so many Christians have conversations for hours talking about what was the thorn in Paul's side. I'm like, he told you.
He told you.
Read the text.
Yeah, read it. It's a messenger from
Even
Satan.
your English translations say it.
Even your English, yes. So Paul admitted he was demon possessed, and if you read the Christian New Testament, it's obvious that he was demon possessed. And Paul, didn't he admit that he was a sexual pervert in Romans?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Didn't Paul admit throughout his letters that he was an egomaniac?
Mhm.
Yes.
Didn't Paul admit that he was a confabulator and that he imagined things? Didn't he have like 12 different ways he'd been killed?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
3 different versions of his road to Damascus story.
Yep. And that, and in terms of just credibility and accuracy of all the citations that he used to try to prove the validity of his message, did he get a single citation right?
100% wrong.
Zero. So he's in exactly the same boat that Donald Trump is in. He's never said anything that is entirely correct, has he? Nope.
Yeah.
So if you look at sexual pervert, you look at egomaniac, you look at total deceit, and you look at overall claims of grandeur, divine providence.
Mm.
Wouldn't Paul be the equivalent of Donald Trump?
Spot on.
Yeah.
And how about the next guy, Mohammed?
Wait, didn't Paul like men?
He did. He did. He liked boys.
Yeah.
According to Yahweh, anyway. He said he had a fixation on the male genitalia. And of
he
course,
did.
his lover was Timothy, which is, I don't think Yahweh really cared the fact that he was a homosexual. I think he only offered the prophecy that he has a fixation on the male genitalia for 2 reasons. One is it would help identify him because he only had one love, and that was Timothy. And so it helps identify him. But more importantly, Paul's big issue was to condemn circumcision.
Yeah.
And so that he was and circumcision is the sign
But
of
he
the covenant.
wanted his lover.
But he did circumcise his own lover.
Yeah.
So he didn't like the turtleneck there, but otherwise he was opposed to circumcision. Is there anybody in the Trump administration that's opposed to circumcision?
Oh wow. Yeah.
Oh, that's gross. Yeah, there is.
RFK. What is it? Yeah. Causes autism.
RFK.
Yeah.
RFK. Yeah. He's on a crusade
He's a
against.
conspiratorialist.
Yeah.
Nut
He
wacko.
is. But
He's a wacko.
that is his agenda. So there you go on that one. So okay, so let's go to the next guy that said he was demon possessed. When Muhammad had his first encounter with the demon that tried to kill him in the cave during Ramadan, where he got the nonsensical right, and he says, "I can't. I'm illiterate." Well, right, and then it finally said, "What am I supposed to write?" And it was right that the pen says that man was conceived from a coagulated clot of blood.
Yeah.
Say what? I mean, just utter stupidity. It's like saying we're going to turn Gaza into resorts. You might as well be at that level. So,
Or bleach is good for
so
COVID.
Muhammad, being beaten by the spirit, trying to run down the mountain, tried to commit suicide. And the first thing he did when he got to his coyote mama, who was his donor, so he didn't like to work, so he married a rich old woman, and he first thing he told her is, "I have been demon possessed,
Yep.
and I'm terrorized, and I want to take my life." And when Muhammad grew older, and he was he such a pervert, big fat toothless pervert by the end of his life. He admitted again that he was demon possessed.
Mhm.
And there are, the 33rd surah of the Quran actually says that all of Allah's messengers speak on behalf of Satan.
Satan, yeah.
That's why it's called satanic verses. There is an entire surah of the Quran that is dedicated to demons.
To the jinn. Yeah.
And the gym,
And every time that Satan is brought up in the Quran, Satan is having a conversation with Allah, and you can't tell which one's which.
Right.
And 100% of the time that Allah is located in the Quran, where is he? 100% of the time.
In Sheol, yeah. In hell.
100% of the time he's in hell. And what's he doing down there?
Torturing people.
Torturing
Burning,
people. Right.
Especially women.
Right.
He hates women.
So
hanging women by meat hooks.
Muhammad was demon possessed by his own admission, and by his own admission, Allah is Satan. So we're trying to figure out a type here. Was Muhammad a sexual pervert?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
So Muhammad lusted for his son's wife. That would be called incest, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What did Trump say about his daughter?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, praise her.
She's hot.
Muhammad, when he was 66-year-old, had sex with a 6-year-old.
Aisha.
Do you know how many 11, 12, 13, and 14-year-olds that Donald Trump has raped, that he's paid millions and millions of dollars to buy their silence? 7 of them.
Wow.
Same number, by the way, that Muhammad raped of young children.
Oh my God.
A rapist, incestuous, confabulator, overt liar, murderer. Exactly the same. Egomaniac,
Yeah.
Psychopath.
psychopath. Paul and Muhammad are both psychopaths. Paul and Muhammad and Donald Trump are all narcissists. They're exactly the same. So we are witnessing in Donald Trump exactly what we read in Yeshaya, Isaiah 14, where the entire chapter is devoted to Hasatan, Satan. And it says that ultimately Satan is going to declare himself Elion, which is the title of Dod as the Son of God and of the Messiah. And so he doesn't say he's going to rise above the Most High. It's the term is Elion. And Yahweh specifically tells us that Dod is Elion in his presence. Dod's not God in his presence. He's Elion in his presence. Elion would be all things pertaining to the hand or influence of God. That's what the word means. Trump is going to do exactly the same thing. But once America is destroyed, America will be bankrupt. The Federal Reserve is going to be replaced by Trump's Bitcoin, boondoggle. We're going to be at war with the United States is going to be at war with Russia, nuclear exchange. And so Donald Trump ultimately, after staying in power after 2028 and into 2029, in January of 2030, he's going to relocate to where?
Israel.
And where in Israel?
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. And where does Ezekiel say that he's going to be busying himself? Right now, we're
Right
told
on
that
the Temple Mount.
Yeah, right now we're told that Trump's only priority is his ballroom. And the ballroom, have you seen how much larger the ballroom is than the White House itself?
Yeah.
The ballroom is larger than the White House and the West Wing combined. It is so out of kilter with the existing building. It just looks like a total and utter egomaniac and dunderhead is the person responsible for this. It towers over it. It's so much more massive. And when you read the book of Ezekiel and you have this coppercon, Donald Trump, measuring up this grand edifice, how much larger is it than the Temple Mount?
Oh, 10, 20 times. It's all of Jerusalem, isn't it?
It's not only all of Jerusalem, it's most of Judea.
Well, yeah.
It's that gargantuan. That is what Satan is trying to achieve in his ultimate monstrosity, the naming rights, if you will, of his construction enterprise. So all that Donald Trump is getting by demolishing the old East Wing of the White House is and building this monstrosity of a ballroom for himself is exactly what Satan is going to try to achieve by demolishing everything associated with Jerusalem and building this monstrosity for himself all around. Same exact situation, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we just have every place we turn. We have the rise and fall of the Antichrist, of Satan incarnate. in the White House, and literally no correlation between reality and what the man says, and total and utter destruction. It's the path of destruction is massive, and he still has the complete loyalty of the Christian MAGA, just like Adolf Hitler did with his Nazi political party that came out of the Roman Catholics.
Gaining steam every day. Every day, there are more Christians flocking into it. Yeah.
More grandiose claims every day. It's almost the chaos is so great that it's very hard to even keep your bearings around the man. And anyone who even forget about criticizing, if you're in his presence and you're a reporter and you said, "Can you clarify the size and the scope of the ballroom?" He says, "What's wrong with you? You know, second grade journalist? I mean, you're still in grammar school? Have you no professional ethics at all? Do you know anything that you're talking about? Have you ever built anything?" And he just went into a tirade on this guy. Mm-hmm. He just loses it at. Reminds me of the two attorneys I was up against in providing expert testimony on airplanes for a friend of mine at trial, and they were just sure that they could badger me and put me into a corner when I would cower and capitulate to their yes and no answers that they wanted, and I didn't, and they did such a meltdown that they all of them were sanctioned by the court, and the jury was so mad at him because they wanted to hear what I had to say about what caused this accident. And these guys wouldn't let it. And it had such a conniption fit, had such a mean-spirited meltdown that they were actually sanctioned. And the trial ended, and the jury rendered a large verdict in favor of the plaintiff that I was speaking on behalf of. So as bad as the judge was, the jury was brilliant. There was 7 women on this jury. And they were attentive. They were smart. They had morals. It was amazing to see the response of those jurors. So, but this is the exact same thing as Donald Trump. Donald Trump tries to cower everyone into submission. You know, you heard the other day that was that press conference where everybody lined up, and it was 2 hours of kissing Trump's tail. And Stephen Miller said, "You know, America would have been destroyed and dead if it were not for you. You're the only one that has restored America." America is destroyed now. We're destroyed economically. We're destroyed militarily. We're destroyed in terms of alliances with other nations. We're at war with ourselves. America has never been in a worse situation. There's no salvaging it. As a matter of fact, this is an interesting thought. And I actually said it today, and I don't know in fact, I don't think anyone's responded to it. What I said today is that there was a time for a better part of a year where I did everything in my power to try to discourage America for continuing the proxy war, using Ukraine as cannon fodder and American weapons to badger Russia, because America wanted to split up Russia and steal her resources, just like America wants to split up Venezuela and steal the resources. And so I constantly made posts trying to encourage people to think this through and to realize Putin is not the bad guy here. It's us. Mm-hmm. And that we need to stop this if we're going to survive, because if there's only 2 outcomes, that is either capitulate to Russia's demands that Ukraine is not militarized, it's not part of NATO, and that the ethnic Russian communities have the opportunity to reunite with Russia. You either do that, or you push Russia into a position where it retaliates against the West with nuclear weapons. Those are your only 2 outcomes. And so I've constantly, I bet I have 1,000 posts on just that subject.
As it goes on, it seems that we are inching closer and closer to a nuclear solution and not further away.
Yeah. So what I did today is say, it's serves God's interest for this thing to go nuclear. I'm no longer going to advocate on behalf of America because you're just too stupid. You're too ignorant. You're too irrational. You're too immoral. And the President of the United States is too demonic. This cannot be resolved. And since it cannot be resolved, let's just get on with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's go nuclear. And since Russia suffered two really horrible battlefield defeats in the last couple of days, Russia losing, should that occur, should Europe, NATO, and the United States push Russia collectively to the point that Russia loses or it feels threatened, it's going to go nuclear. And it's actually in Yahweh's interest for it to, and therefore in our interest for it to go nuclear. And you might say, how is that possible? I mean, millions, maybe even billions of people are going to die. Because people are going to do what they're going to do anyway. We are not saying that we're going to pull the trigger on a bomb. I'm not going to. I'm just telling you, I know it's going to happen, and the sooner it happens, the better, because it's going to happen. And I can't stop it from happening. I can't use evidence and reason to wake up people. They're just too ignorant and too irrational and too immoral to be able to wake up in Europe and in the United States. So it's going to happen, and the sooner it happens, the better, because we have the only solution. We not only foretold that it was going to happen and have been explaining why it's going to happen, but we have the only solution. And Yahweh is very clear with his people. He says the only reason they ultimately return to me is because they have no other choice.
Yeah, right.
And that's really where we are. So let's just get on with it. And it's this imposition of the Islamic State of terror in Israel. Let's just get on with it. It's going to happen within the next 7 months. Just get on with it. And let's move on to the next phase of this whole thing. So why even advocate against it anymore? It's not stoppable.
No.
I understand that Leah has the little cute one. That's Kara.
I have all three of them over here.
That's Kara, and Leia's lap. That's Wookie trying to climb up Leia's legs. So
very jealous.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that's quite the.
No, you cannot have the baby's toy.
Quite the deal. So our dogs are going to have fun. My suggestion, guys, is don't live anywhere near something that would be bombed by the Russians. This is going to be a really messy situation, and America is going to go bankrupt in the process. So it's bad. So all of those things and what happened this week reaffirm our reaffirmation that the prophets again are right. Donald Trump is Satan incarnate. He is demon possessed. Everything that you're hearing from him that sounds so crazy, so egotistical, so maniacal, so vindictive, so destructive. And while he is claiming to be the peaceful president, and yet he's setting Israel up to be destroyed. He's setting the United States up for war with Russia. He's setting the Western Hemisphere up for a war with the United States. This is where we are. So it makes these prophecies particularly important because just like there have been 10,000 insights that we uniquely have deduced and shared, so are all of these. All of them. And, imagine being in a position where all of these things, including Yahweh's name, that David is the actual Messiah, Son of God, returning king who fulfilled Pesach through crucifixion in 33 CE, and therefore Jesus never existed. Think of the profound nature of these insights. And there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of them in these 25,000 pages of Yada Yahweh. We're in such a unique position. And we keep on adding to them at a tremendous pace.
Yeah,
So this is an extraordinary situation. It's almost, well, it's both gratifying and frustrating that we could have more answers pursuant to a relationship with God than every cleric, every scholar, every rabbi, every priest, every pastor, every academician has in their entire history over the last 2,500 years, that one community led by one man, empowered by Yahweh, has deduced more of these insights than all of the rest of them combined by a billionfold. And that's where we are. It's a rather exceptional situation where we're living in the midst of prophecy. And you would expect under that basis that there'd be a whole lot of people reacting one way or another, accepting it and benefiting from it, or trying to renounce it because they're religious or political.
Or conspiratorial. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have little bits of pieces. And I mean, we just got into it the other day on one of the channels there were 30 or 40 people that we'd never heard of that were commenting and stuff. And all they wanted to talk about were conspiracy things, trying to talk them through what this program was about. And it was like, oh, the Nephilim, the giants. And there's no giant. And you're constantly having to correct, this conspiratorial nonsense. And they're looking, but they're looking to, no one's paying attention. Oh, well, I don't like that. I don't like that. And swipe, so.
Yeah. With conspirators, you're never going to reason with them because they're not thoughtful. They use selective evidence. They ignore 99% of the evidence, and they focus on the one dot, and they take that one dot out of context and extrapolate from there in an echo chamber. And they come up with, utter nonsense like chemtrails or flat earth or 9/11 was an inside job. The Jews did it as opposed to an Islamic suicide bombing.
Conspiracy theory is a black hole. Like everyone I've ever talked to that is into conspiracy theories, it's always the same. They start with something that is true. They're talking about like the Gulf of Tonkin and the way we've done our MK Ultra, and they start with these, but then it's like a rabbit hole. They just keep going down that rabbit hole.
Yes, and there is no amount of light that you can shine on that rabbit hole that will cause them to leave it. And they believe they're truthers, and that nobody else is inspired and enlightened like they are. And even if you were to absolutely prove the MMR vaccine, for example, has been a boon to worldwide health, and that the only links to autism were by a man that was trying to promote his vaccine over the popular one, and therefore wanted to renounce the MMR vaccine so that he could sell his, and that he actually did no research. He just made it all up.
Faked it all.
He was, everything was faked. He was not disbarred, but what are you as an MD? He lost his license to practice medicine. He had to move from England to the United States. He is an utter and complete fraud. But the people that are conspiratorial types that want to blame autism not on their own mental health, but on on some vaccine, love it. And there's nothing you can do to convince them otherwise.
You show them all the evidence and they'll dismiss it. They're just setting them up because they're trying to promote this.
Correct. Oh yeah, it's just hellacious as to what you see. I mean, the realization, this thing that the Trumps had the big announcement one day that autism, it's caused by Tylenol.
Most widely over-the-counter medication on the face of the planet, and that's what causes autism, right?
Yeah, I mean, and they just had the largest research program ever on autism. I think it was like 2 million people that participated, and it's huge. And they found absolutely no correlation with any medication. The only correlation with autism, unfortunately, was the mental health of the mother. And that's exactly what the conspiratorial mothers don't want to hear. But that was the only correlation. There was no other correlation. And certainly not Tylenol. So, you're just dealing with a series of lies to promote confusion. That is what we're dealing with the father of lies, being now Satan's corporeal manifestation in Donald Trump.
So would you say, Craig, are we between a tidal wave or a tsunami of greater knowledge and, more importantly, understanding?
Yeah, we are being we are providing a tsunami of knowledge.
Yeah.
There has never been so many profoundly important insights, so that people can actually return to Yahweh and take advantage of all that He is offering. It has never been this clear, this well proven, this comprehensively known than it is right now, right here.
And what's
part of the
amazing is
Yahweh series.
you bringing your either first or second favorite new Mizmor to the floor is 2 Sam 6. It's unbelievable that it's coming right into the fore, and it's so relevant.
But it's everything we turn to. Numbers 5 spoke of our situation. Numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All of it was prophetic of our situation. Numbers 19, Numbers 20, all prophetic of our situation. 2 Sam 7 is the most important prophecy pursuant to what we've come to know about the Messiah and Son of God, and Yahweh's approach towards the covenant. And now we find that the previous chapter is even more prophetic of our particular situation and the role that we're playing in facilitating it. And then I had reason to go into Devarim, Deuteronomy 12.
Yeah.
To validate the fact that God actually said you can eat whatever you want, because people are having a conniption fit. That is the new way to attack Craig and discredit Yahweh, is to say that Craig said you can eat anything. Actually, no, it was Moshe, inspired by Yahweh, who said you can eat anything. And so I went back and I'm retranslating everything just to bring it up to snuff, and writing the commentary on it. And you find out that everything that God opens with is prophetic of our situation right now, in its opposition to mother goddesses and to all manner of religious threats. And then God says, the place where my name resides is where I want you to seek knowledge. The place where my name resides, that's where I want you to seek knowledge. The place where my name resides, I want you to seek knowledge. Where else on this planet does Yahweh's name reside that prominently? It does not reside on the Temple Mount anymore. It's all Islamic, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't reside anywhere in Jerusalem or in Israel, does it? Because they won't even say it. They've erased it. So, and in fact, the first person to know that Yahweh's name is pronounced Yahweh is the guy that wrote this book, and the other 35 like it, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I want you to go where Yahweh's, where my name thrives and lives. And I want you to devour knowledge there, seek knowledge, and then learn. And then it goes on to say that of all the things that you ought to be focused on, I want you to capitalize upon and then be alert to the sacrifice of the bull and of the lamb. And the preamble to, before you even get to, you can eat anything you want.
Right. Let me just leave this here. You won't get it for a while, but let me just, how many times have we gone over and translated Devarim 12? How many times you roll through it and look,
but the understanding prophecy, and no one would have thought any of that was prophecy. They would have thought all of that was ancient history.
Mm-hmm.
But understanding prophecy and even understanding Torah teaching requires this enormous foundation of knowledge. That's why the second to last of the 7 spirits that the Chodar was given is the spirit of knowledge. You have to build this foundation of knowledge before you're in a position to know those things. Like you have to know the various ways that you can translate son, which is a lamb from the flock, or bakar, which is an observant bull. And you need to know those things, and most people would just pass right over them. Until you read Numbers 15, and God goes through the role of the lamb, the goat, and the bull, and fulfilling the Moed Mikre. you're just not able to deduce the conclusions that are necessary to understand. And until you've been assaulted by somebody who accuses your wife of being evil and then claims that they speak for Mother God, you would not know that that Numbers 12 is specific and prophetic to your situation. You wouldn't know until they began to champion a Mother God that the introduction to Devarim 12 specifically renounces any affiliation with the Mother Goddess.
Yeah.
It's there. It's everywhere. God is giving us prophecies that tell us this is what his position is on these things, and this is how he responds. And there is no conciliation. There is no attempt of compromise. There is no debate with these people. It's overt condemnation, total disassociation, and then eradication, including their names. Everything gone. Complete scorched earth. Nothing left.
Out of the
That's how
camp,
God
into
responds.
the pit.
Out of the camp. Yep.
Yeah, out of the camp, into the pit. Go ahead.
I just misspoke. It's prophecy 2 Sam 6, not Mizmor. So
yes, I know, but that's all right. We have the reason I thought that you said Mizmor is that down in the Rainbow Studio, I have been focused with Rich on my favorite Mizmor, which is the 89th. And the 89th answers every question. I mean, every question we need to know is in the 89th Mizmor.
You're prescient because I was just thinking about that's why I said it.
Yeah, I know.
Lung to tongue. 89 game, set, and match with Christian. Just game, set, and match
with Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
And all the Abrahamic religions are gone.
There, with the 89th Mizmor, there can be no Jesus. There's no Christ. There's no Christian. There's no church. There is no Rabbi Akiba. There is no Bar Kokhba. There's no six-pointed star. There's no Judaism. And of course, there's no Islam because Islam came out of the Babylonian Talmud, which is a product of all of this. With the 89th Mizmor, it's all Dod. Dod is the Son of God. Dod is the Messiah. And God lectures his people and said, what you've done to defraud, to defame, to curtail the everything that is appropriate in terms of reverence and respect and knowledge regarding the Messiah, Dod, is why you're in this terrible spot. And there's no solution for you while you're here. There's nothing worse than the renunciation of Dod as the Messiah, which is the basis of Christianity. It was how rabbinic Judaism was actually formed, and it is Muhammad's claim that formed the basis of the religiosity of the Quran.
Might I suggest that this morning's show is a twice or thrice type of a deal in terms of listening to and really digesting it.
It is powerful. The one yesterday and the one today are riveting in terms of their implications. You cannot listen to that, be informed, and be rational and remain a Christian or a devotee to Judaism or Islam. It's impossible. And if you listen to it and you realize how rational and forthright Yahweh was, even as an agnostic, you're going to say, boy, that's like JB, you were an agnostic when you first heard this message. You come across something that's as brilliant as the 89th Mizmor, and it's really tough to remain an agnostic.
Oh, yeah. If you got an open mind.
If you got an open mind, God is absolutely brilliant, and he was able to tell us exactly what was going to happen through time and the consequence of it. And it's just so marvelously written. All right, I want to go into, we have a little time left. I want to go into and make some progress on Daniel 9, which is where we are. We have some muck to finish before we get to the good part. We're dealing with Daniel, who was not a prophet. Daniel was a scribe. He could write. And he had read the prophets, so he knew that Israel was in the, you can't say the doghouse because the only person named Dog was Caleb, and he was highly favored by Yahweh. So dogs are good with Yahweh. That's right, Asher. That's yep. Asher's getting the butt rubbed by Rich. The fact is that he knew that God hated Judaism and religion. And he said so in the previous statements. Now he's whining. And he is saying, oh, God, you need to forgive us. And God, you need to open your eyes and see how this is all so ravaged. And you need to change. You need to accommodate us. And I want to play intervention. And God just has nothing to do with any of that. You can beg God for anything you want to beg for. He's not listening to you. You can say, God, I want you to be merciful to so-and-so. No. I want you to forgive him. No. God doesn't do that. He says, this is what I have established that is in your interest. You want to participate in this? Great. Here are the rules. No, we're not going to, you're not going to lecture me on you want a different set of rules. No, these are the rules. I've made it possible for you to be immortal, for you to be perfected, for you to be empowered, to be enriched, to be emancipated and adopted into my family. If that works for you, I've done all the work. All you have to do is come to understand it and act upon it, and it'll be great. But if you want to change it, you want a New Testament, you want a Talmud, you want to change my name, you want a different Messiah, no, you're out. And if you promote those things, you're not just out. You're going to go to one of those black holes that might be swirling around that Van Gogh painting. Not a good situation. So here we are. It says, my God, incline your ear and listen. Ugh! That's the whole problem with Christianity and Islam and in Judaism, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Pray without ceasing. Muslims, you got to do the nose plant and the butt up in the air humiliation thing multiple times a day, reciting meaningless drivel to Allah, who is Satan. Christians have their prayer councils and everything is pray for this, pray for that. And Jews, oh my God, with the head bobbing and the praying to not Hadrian's wall, but the wall that was built during the Roman occupation period by King Herod. I mean, oh my God, how could you be so stupid? But that's what they're doing. They even take when Yahweh says, listen, Yisrael, Yahweh, your God is one. And they change that to a prayer. Where they yabber to, and they change God's name to Adonai. And that's how bad they are. And so here is Daniel being the ultimate nincompoop here, saying, my God, incline your ear and listen. No, it's our job to incline our ear and to listen to Yahweh.
Would you say Daniel got it? Would you say Daniel got it backward?
Backwards. Then he says to Yahweh, my God, open your eyes and see. No, our job is to be observant. It's not God's job to listen to us or be observant. It works the other way. It doesn't work this way. You got nothing to say that God wants to hear.
Yeah.
You've written nothing that God wants to read. Unless you are somebody that God says, that's my guy, and I'm going to speak through that guy, and I'm going to inspire that guy so that he can call my people home. Apart from that, no. And even if you're that guy, you're spending 99.999% of your time listening and observing what he has to say. Even if you're that guy, you might spend 1/1000th of 1% of your time saying, okay, I'm stumped on this one. You got an idea? Open your eyes and see our ravaged and deserted places. And the city which is called by your name. The places were ravaged and deserted because the Jews weren't listening to God. However, not upon our righteousness. Why would you even say that? They were in Babylon because they were so rotten to the core. They were so religious and political, and they had already written Yahweh's name out of their lives. That's why they were in Babylon.
Doing everything
not upon our righteousness.
Doing everything they could to be good. They weren't trying to be Sadak. They were trying to be good.
Not upon our righteousness, Sadak, which means us being right. There was nothing that they had right because we would fail. Oh, isn't that lovely? Our plea for mercy in your presence is indeed because of your compassion, which is great. No, it's not. God's compassion is very narrowly focused. He actually says in the second statement that he wrote in stone, I despise religion. Don't you go anywhere near any form of religion. Fathers corrupt their sons to the third and fourth generation. And my mercy, my compassion is for thousands, and only those who observe the instructive conditions of my covenant. So no, God's compassion is not great. It's very, very narrow. And you do not plead to him for compassion. You want God's compassion? You accept the terms and conditions of the covenant. You attend the Moed Mikre as they are intended. You recognize and you begin to take great pride and joy in Yahweh's name. You acknowledge the role that Dode, as our Savior, the Son of God, the Messiah, and former and returning King, played to make all those things possible. God gave you a means to receive his compassion. You cannot receive it any other way. And if you beg him for it without knowing that he has already offered it in this way, all you're going to do is irritate him and prove that you're a nincompoop. That's really all it does. When somebody says, this is what I want from God, when God says, this is what I'm willing to give, and I'm not going to change, you're proving that you haven't listened, that you haven't been observant, and that you're an absolute idiot who thinks you're smarter than God. I've got a pretty good relationship with God. You think I've ever told God, I think you need to change your approach here. I think that you're wrong, and I think there's a better way to go about this salvation thing, or this the sacrifice of the Adam of Perah. I think needs to be orchestrated a little different. I don't like the setting. You think you would ever say anything like that? No. Just tell me where you want me to say. Tell me where you want me to be. Tell me what you want me to do through your prophets and Torah. You've already done a great job of it. I'm reading it. Make sure that I understand it, and I'm going to do what you ask. If you tell me how you want me to deal with those who are the naysayers, that's my approach. I'm just going to, I get all sorts of advice. You should just let these people go that are the insiders that are claiming to speak for Spirit Mom. Well, what did Yahweh do? Did he let them go?
Squashed
them, incinerated them, obliterated them, denounced them.
He'd be happy to let them go if they would just go. That's
just be happy to let them go, but that requires them actually just going away quietly, which they won't do.
If they're not going to do that, then you can't do that.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to debate them so that because God, there is no example where God says, "Okay, we had a little misunderstanding here. Maybe I didn't get what I was trying to convey to you. Let's have a retry." If Kirk was here, my golfing buddy, I'd call it a mulligan. Let's try again, and let's see if I can work out a compromise with you so that we can all just get along. Did he ever do that even once? No.
No Rodney King moments.
No. So if you're going to represent Yahweh, can you be a compromiser? Can you be tolerant? Can you try to figure out something that everybody can accept and just get along? Can you do that?
It's Gibor, Chazak, and Chokhmah.
Yeah, absolutely. However, not based upon our righteousness, because we would fail. Our plea for mercy in your presence is indeed because of your compassion, which is great. Well, Daniel is demonstrating why God despises religion. There was absolutely nothing that Yahweh wanted to hear from this man other than for him to stop begging and to start listening. Israel was deserted because Jews did not invite Yahweh into their lives, did not welcome him into their hearts, or even mention his name. Mercy is afforded to those who pay attention to Yahweh and observe his testimony as it is prescribed in his Torah, his Nabiim, Wa Mizmor. He guides those who do so through the bereth and the Mikre to his Bayeth, his home. And along the way, we find his Chanan and Rakam. He is very generous. He is exceedingly generous. He plays favors. He's kind. He's affectionate, funny, bright, fair, consistent. And, there is a huge difference between us, but God doesn't want us to perceive that difference. What he wants to do is to mitigate that difference. And he wants us to start right now appreciating God's role as our Father, not as this fearsome Lord out there. Then we know that the whole plan is to mitigate our difference so that ultimately we're empowered and raised to the same level that Yahweh is raising Dode, where, we're told that he is Elyon in God's presence. That's what he's offering. So there are times when I'm even hesitant to translate a passage, and this is, of course, one of those occasions. The previous 3 times through this material, I ignored it, moving past it to the next statement. And I'm uncomfortable with Daniel's insistent pleading and unsolicited praise. Further, his use of Adonai, my Lord, is inappropriate and it is disturbing. Nevertheless, this is what he said next. Now, it's important for people to know that just because the book is called prophetic and just because someone's called a prophet, they aren't. There's a very clear criterion which very few people have taken the time to study. It's presented in Devarim as to what qualifies a person as a true prophet and a false prophet. And the credentials are really pretty straightforward, and Daniel doesn't muster up. Yeah. So he is not one. That doesn't mean that there isn't prophecy in Daniel, because he was visited by 3 prophets and he wrote down what they said accurately, and that's good enough because we can learn from that. So he says, my Lord, my master, that's Satan's title. I am emphatic in wanting you to listen. Oh my God. So damn religious. As an expression of my will, I choose for you to hear what I have to say. Call imperative paragogic. Hey, cohortative. Energetic, second person, masculine, singular. You've done some translation, JB. That's quite a list. Call means no nuance here. This is a literal statement. I'm not trying to be subtle with you here, God. This is what I actually am saying. Imperative means it is a second person expression of volition. So in other words, he's saying, I want you to agree. And paragogic means major emphasis. I'm laying it all on the line, God. You got to listen. This is really important. Cohortative means this is my decision. This is what I want. First person expression of volition. Energetic just makes it more emphatic. Second person, masculine, singular. So he is telling God what he wants God to want. Rather than asking God for his will, he's saying, I want your will to be as follows.
Uh-huh. Talk about commanding. Yeah. Oh,
whoa. No. I think that'd be fun sometime as a joke. We'll just kind of all collaborate and say, okay, we're going to pull a fast one on Yahweh now that, we're in the 1,000-year celebration of Sukkah, and say, okay, let's go up and let's see if we can pull a fast one on God, and we'll see if we can collectively outvote him and see if we can get him to agree to a different way, a different approach to something. And then, when he's just looking at us like, what? Say, April Fools. No, we're just kidding. We just spoofing with you. You've got a sense of humor. We're just kidding with you. I think actually it'd be fun to do, so long as we could get to we're just spoofing with you before
out of the camp,
like poof, yeah, like poof. I'd want Kevin. I want you to advance that. I don't want to be the instigator of this plan. Sorry, God, I'm just kidding. All right, my Lord, I am emphatic in wanting you to listen. My Lord, I am insistent and emotional in my appeal for you to choose to remove the guilt and to forgive.
Oy.
There's only one way that our guilt is removed. Dode. Matzah. Dode removed our guilt on matzah. That is the whole purpose of matzah. Took it into Sheol to deposit it there. We're the first people ever to figure it out. And it is emphatic and it is powerful. And that is what God decided that he was going to do. It's Dode's soul that took our guilt and carried it into Sheol, the place of separation, equivalent of a black hole. And it was Yahweh's spirit that protected Dode's soul while he did that, and then released his soul at the end of Matzah. This is what happened. That's the only way it happens. There is no other form of forgiveness, and that really isn't a form of forgiveness.
Wipes it away.
It is a form of salvation in terms of salvation, Yatzah being deliverance from harm's way. Our guilt is delivered from us so that we are saved from harm's way. But there is no forgiveness here. It is, even the judge that I was before yesterday, if you walked into that courtroom and no one could produce any evidence against you, you would be rendered immediately not guilty, correct? Yes. Well, if all of our guilt is taken by Dode and deposited in Sheol, then we're not guilty.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be forgiven, do you?
No.
If you're not guilty, there's nothing to forgive. That's the beauty of God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was just so spectacular what Dode did. So I am insistent in my emotional appeal for you to choose to remove the guilt and forgive. No, God has a plan to do that. If you read the Torah, you'd know that it happens on Matzah.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you read the Torah, you would know that Dode is the person who is responsible for that. And if you read Dode's Mizmor, and this is 555 BCE, and Dode's Mizmor were written, 400 plus years before this, almost 500 years before this, you would know the answer. My Lord, on my own initiative, I believe that it is imperative that you pay attention and you become responsive. Kashab, you need to choose to be alert here. You need to pay attention, pal, because this is what I want. Hiphil, imperative, paragogic, hey, cohortative, interject. Oh my, this is the full McGillicuddy. Full McGillicuddy is stupid here. You must engage, God.
The only thing he's missing is a wagging finger.
Yeah. I have a couple of times through this whole process, in 24 years said, God, you need to do something here. This wasn't our deal. Seriously, this wasn't, we made a deal. We're now in a phase of the deal which is inconsistent with the deal that we made. And so I'm expecting you to resolve this problem because that's our deal. And so I don't know how you're going to resolve it, but I'm expecting you to resolve it. That's as far as I have ever gone. Which I'm just doing there is I'm holding God accountable for what he promised. And he has no problem being held accountable for what he promised. And I'm not certain how he's going to resolve it. And at the time, and then I find out how he resolves it. But and sometimes it will be, I can't do it the way you want it done.
Yeah.
Because of the fence I'm trying to build around the covenant. It's not this, the covenant is not a free for all. Just because you want to be in it, just because you believe that you're part of it, just because somebody tells you you're part of it, that doesn't mean you are. Yeah. There's a fence around it. And the 89th Mizmor says that lots of people have torn down that fence and those walls and those hedges around the covenant. And so God can say, I'm sorry, young man, I cannot do it the way you want it done, but I can tell you that I'm honored my agreement because, well, look here, and you'll find that this is the answer. And so, but that's as far as I've ever gone. And I've never told God, well, you need to forgive so-and-so, and you need to be responsive to something I'm asking for, ever. But you still have to have when you go out and you put your neck this far out to do this job, you still have to have a pretty open and honest conversation with God. You can't be intimidated around him and say, well, dear God, please don't strike me dead here. I don't want to be hit by the bolt of lightning, but I need this favor. No, you don't do it that way. You say, this is, as I understand it, this is our deal, and we've got to get this resolved. It's very kind of manly talk. If you were doing something with, I'm out with Dode and we're trying to solve a problem, we're going to have a very frank conversation and say, this is an issue. We got to figure out a solution to this issue, and then implement it. I'll have that conversation.
Dode, announced that he was going to fulfill the Passover. He said, Yahweh, I need you to listen to me. I want you to listen. We're going to understand this.
Yes. Yeah. Dode absolutely took this approach, but Dode and Daniel aren't in the same zip code. Okay. And so Dode absolutely took that approach where when he decided that he needed to fulfill Passover, Matzah, and Bakorim, he said, yeah, God, now you need to listen to me. And it's important that you and I agree on this. So he did take that approach, but this, he's volunteering to be crucified and then go into hell.
That's coming from the point of view of understanding as opposed from the point of view of ignorance.
Yeah. And I want to make certain if we're going to do this, that we're of like mind. That's really what he was trying to do. And, it's like as I progress in doing and overcoming some of the challenges of doing this job, I will have a really frank conversation with God. I said, it's our backs are up against a wall here. We need to figure out a solution. We need to be of like mind. And so what is the solution? What are we agreeing to do here? And so we'll have that conversation. Dode had it. I have it from time to time. Mine are 1/1000th as important as Dode's were, but Daniel was completely out on a limb here. He was not making any sacrifice to save anybody. He didn't understand anything that he was seeing. He had zero ability to accomplish anything, nor could he convince God of what he was asking. So do not remain inactive, be hesitant or delay. For your own sake, O my God, because indeed your name is called over and above your city and your people. Except for the point that Daniel was quoting from Yirmiah, he never said Yahweh's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was mentioned when he is quoting from Yirmiah.
Yep.
But that wasn't his thing. He named himself, may the Lord preserve the king. So this is a very, very confused man. And at this point, the Babylonians had torn down the temple. So God's name didn't reside there anymore.
Yeah.
You can make of that what you will. As for me, I'm glad that it was written in the cohortative, thereby expressing Daniel's agenda and his mindset, not Yahweh's. Begging for forgiveness is a complete and utter waste of time. In fact, it's counterproductive because you come off as an irritating numbskull. You don't come off as compassionate. You come off as a belligerent and irritating numbskull that doesn't know exactly what God has said relative to delivering compassion. And if you want to know what he said, listen to Yahweh and act accordingly, and you will find a much better outcome. We do not need to tell Yahweh when, where, why, or how to respond. It is best when we learn these things from him. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't engage, but 99.999% of what we do to engage with Yahweh, Yahweh has already laid out exactly what he wants from us. Do you, when you say, boy, I'm going to start this day, I've got some things I'd like to accomplish, do you wonder, boy, I really want what Yahweh's will is for my life? Do you ever even have a hesitation?
No.
He's really clear. This is what I want done. Mm-hmm. I'm expecting, if you're going to be part of my family, that you engage. Do not be a couch potato. I'm not looking for deadbeats. In fact, in this whole thing on Devarim, Deuteronomy 12, after going to the source of knowledge and becoming proficient in understanding what God is offering, there's two statements about, I'm expecting you to engage. I'm expecting you to validate your commitment to this covenant by your actions. Show me that you have merit. Do something that's worthwhile. So it's disrespectful when we try to dictate to Yahweh. Working through Moshe, God revealed when and why he would act, and through Dode, how and where. Therefore, to ask the Almighty to repeat himself is akin to rudely sleeping through the professor's lecture, losing his textbook, and then demanding he provide a special session just for you. Well, that's the thing that we find all over social media, where somebody just makes some dunderhead move, and we said, no, that's incorrect. This is what God actually says. And then they want you to have a private debate with them. And you just say, I've written 35 books on this subject. Why don't you read the damn books? You want to have a debate with the books? Go ahead. But no, I am not. And people get all pissy with you. I say, well, then you won't engage in debate. Why are you even here? God, if you want to know what I know about God, read the books. If you don't, then just go away. Quietly, please. Therefore, to ask the Almighty to repeat himself, to give you his own personal rendition of what he wants, is nothing but annoying. If accommodated, it would not only reward bad behavior, and it would go against all of Yahweh's insistence that we listen and we observe. It'd be a waste of our time, his time, and it would be utterly counterproductive. Now, one of the reasons the witnesses are credible, and credible is their credibility and confidence is their primary currency, is because our presentation of God's testimony are readily validated by citing publicly disseminated and proven prophetic sources rather than private revelations. Our conclusions can be tested and affirmed. This is the whole approach to everything we do. We're going to provide an amplified translation of Yahweh's testimony, scrubbing into the diacritical markings of the rabbis from the oldest extant sources, typically the Dead Sea Scrolls. And we're going to put all of the cards face up on the table. We're going to give you every word in a generic form that you can look up and validate for yourself. And every conclusion that we're going to draw is going to be based upon the foundation that God's testimony provides. And you can therefore confirm or reject what we say based upon going and checking it. Now, everybody that's part of this community has done so over and over again.
It's not that hard.
It's not actually that hard. In fact, it's actually fun to do. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do it while we're on this show. I've got your text pulled up on this screen. I've got logos pulled up on this screen. So as you're going through it, I'm checking through everything.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to be able to have those tools. But one of the things that you learn is that you're not going to use one resource.
Oh, no.
If you just go to one resource, you're likely to be misled because there's a lot of terms that have religious definitions that you go to the root of the word, and that's not the meaning at all. And that's why it takes considerable time to do this well. You need to look at every word that's related to the word that you're translating to make certain that you get it right. Boy, we really have a Rich and a Wookiee. Boy, you need to put yourself in the Wookiee cam on there, Rich. The Wookiee was just, he had the snaggletooth going. He was really living the life.
We're bonding.
You guys have already bonded, that is for sure. So to the extent that Daniel correctly deduced the message conveyed by Yahweh's prophets, the previous statements have provided a revealing backdrop for what follows. However, not a word of what we have read thus far in the entire 9th chapter of Daniel up to this point has been prophetic. While the scene is going to change, hadn't even been accurate historically. It will not be until the 24th verse that we hear Gabriel, God's most confident and capable man, reveal what's going to occur, and then it becomes riveting. And so we have now is without Yahweh's Torah, we're clearly lost. Daniel was lost. Babel, being with the Lord, was a 70-year timeout for bad behavior. serving as a harbinger of Sheol, we find affirmation of what life will be like for those who continue to reject Yahweh and his Torah guidance. For those of you who are listening to these words and we are and you're contemplating your fate as we near the time of trouble, we're just 7 months away, you can move in one of 2 or 3 directions. Toward Shamaim, heaven, by accepting the conditions of the Bereth covenant with Yahweh, which is responsible for those who observe his Torah teaching and attend his mikre invitations to be called out to meet. 2, you can go back to Babylon, remaining religious or political. Or 3, go nowhere, opting to ignore the voices on both sides and simply be misled, and at the end of your life, that's just the end of your life. But what you cannot do, at least apart from being ignorant and irrational, is to claim that this somehow justifies the creation of a new religion at odds with the Torah and opposition to the very people that God is trying to save. The benefits of what follows are enjoyed by the Torah observant, full stop. So, the preceding portion of Daniel was not couched in mystery, although it was doused in religion. It was not conveyed using metaphors or symbols, but instead religious verbiage. It was a straightforward and readily verified confession, easily corroborated, because Daniel was ad-libbing what Moshe and the prophets had written, and in some places inverting it. While Daniel's religiosity was irritating, his Torah citations are important because apart from this preamble, the following prophecy is readily misappropriated and misunderstood. There are 2 days being predicted, and they both pertain to fulfilling the mikre, days which are meaningful when guided by the Torah, but meaningless apart from it. But since the Torah and its covenant, with them, there is no quarter for religion. Should a rabbi or priest ascertain the timing, they would lose their faith in the process of understanding them. Now, this compound prophecy was conveyed by Dode in somewhere around 555 BCE, no later than 538 BCE, which had been at least 570 years prior to his fulfillment of Chag Matzah in 33 CE, and 2,750 years before he would return to claim the promises of Yom Kippurim in year 6,000 Yah, which is 2033. The timeline for God's redemptive plan hinges upon what occurred on Passover, unyeasted bread, and firstborn children in year 4,000 Yah. And that is what makes Shabuah and Teruah and Kippurim and ultimately Sukkot possible. It sets everything up. So the next statement reads, "Then I was continually communicating and conversing, pondering questions and contemplating answers, expressing gratitude over casting aside pardonable offenses for having missed the way, and the consequence of my people Yisrael going astray, presenting my earnest request for the favor of being able to approach the presence of Yahweh, my God, on this set-apart mountain of my God." Well, he was never granted that favor, was he? But at least he mentioned Yahweh's name. That's a step in the right direction. The words change, but not much of the message. And that is because Daniel continually struggled with the realization that his role was to listen to what the prophets conveyed and then reaffirm that message. But at least this was better. There were no my lords and no demands. He spoke of searching for answers and a desire to approach Yahweh, knowing that he had missed the way. So that's a major step in the right direction. As we approach Dode's appearance and return to sanity Daniel clearly wanted to benefit from what he was witnessing. Having lived a life foreshadowing the ill effects of the rabbis, he needed what God and his Messiah would be providing through Chag Matzah. If our reporter, Daniel, is in heaven, it's proof that the Torah can pardon the offenses of those who have missed the way. So having studied the Torah, the teaching, we know that the Mikra of Pesach opens the door to eternal life. That's its purpose. And it does so by resolving the consequence of religion, which is death. And we realize that the Mikra of Matzah resolves the penalty associated with religious guilt, which is separation from God. Bokurim and Shabua are the result and the benefit, enabling God's children to live in our Father's home as part of his family, as he enriches and enlightens and emancipates and empowers us twice over and tenfold. Tenfold and tenfold, mind you, and twice over. So taking the statement out of context, Roman Catholics have errantly stated that their confessionals resolve sin, but all Daniel did was privately and directly, with no intermediary involved, show his appreciation for the provisions Yahweh had provided in his Torah to resolve the consequence and penalty of having been religious and political. And this man of all men was, well, grateful. This known, had Daniel been a prophet rather than a reporter, he would have been far more confident. You're speaking for God. Even if you're not proclaiming prophecy, but you're speaking for God, you're going to be confident. There is no non-confident speaker for God. You don't hear anybody speaking for God, even if it's not a prophecy. Like you're looking at Elia. That whole episode was prophetic of the sacrifice of the Adamah Parah, known as the red heifer, on Teruah in 2033, where he is having the confrontation against the religious and political leaders, ultimately killing all the political and religious leaders. And he is having this, having fun denouncing the Queen of Heaven and the and Mother Goddesses and the Lord. But other than it being a harbinger for things to come, there's not a single prophecy in it, is there?
No. Yeah.
But Elia was very confident, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to call the king and tell the king, no, you're the troubler of Israel, and you're going to mock the god and goddess of the vast preponderance of Israelis, and literally outwit them and mock them if you're not confident?
Yeah.
Yeah. Confidence is the currency of those who speak for God. You have to be confident, or you just should never open your mouth. It's just the bottom line.
Confidence only comes from knowing. You can't be very confident when you have faith.
Confidence comes from more than just knowing, but knowing is an absolute requirement. Understanding is the next step that makes confidence very real, so that once you've gone from knowing, which there are lots of people that know, there's very few people that understand. And once you go to the point of understanding, then you have the utmost confidence that you can be put in any situation and you'll prevail. But there is something that is even more important than in building confidence for those who speak for Yahweh on behalf of Yahweh. And that's experience. And that experience has to include failure.
Mm-hmm.
It's occasionally you have to be wrong. Occasionally you have to stumble. Occasionally you have to fall. Occasionally you have to be attacked for no fault of your own. All of those things must happen, and you must overcome them. And confidence is the result of having struggled and found a solution and gotten back up and get going right back again, because you were able to resolve that, and that you, working with Yahweh, came up with not only a solution that makes you stronger, but makes the message clearer and more resolute. So confidence is the experience of, as a result of the experience of having overcome, of having obstacles put in your way and you dispensing of them. huge part of this process in developing confidence. But confidence that's the currency of those who speak for God. It's one of the negatives of this is that insecure people, which is so many people today, and everybody that's conspiratorial is insecure. Many people who are religious are insecure. Narcissists are actually insecure. Yeah. They know they're frauds. That's why they're trying to overcome for all of this, where they say such overly top, just utterly stupid stuff about themselves, is they're trying to overcome a deficiency. And the people who are really insecure view confidence. First, they're attracted to it because it's the thing that they lack and they really want. So they're attracted to somebody that's confident. And then when they're in that person's proximity, they're compelled to tear that individual down so that they can prove that person's confidence is not real, that they really aren't what they say they are. So they attracted to the individual, then they are motivated to tear them down. I've been in this situation so many times in my life because of confidence. And what they will always assume is that confidence is arrogance, but it's not. Exactly the opposite. You have to know yourself really well and have an accurate version of who you are and what you're doing and how you're going to accomplish it to be confident. Where if you don't know, you're going to be arrogant. So confidence is often perceived by those who have not accomplished anything in their lives, have never had to overcome, as arrogance, while those who have actually been through the process, knowing, understanding, and then overcoming, confidence is, as I say, it's their currency, but it is always demeaned by little people with agendas as arrogance, as narcissism, when it is the opposite of it. It's you have to be confident, you have to have a very clear understanding of what your strengths and weaknesses are and what you're trying to achieve and how you're going to achieve it and who you're working with. So Daniel here was clearly struggling in this whole prophet. There was no reason to request what God has already offered. There was nothing to be gained by trying to negotiate with him or plead one's case on a matter which has already been decided. The means to vindication has been conveyed, duly presented, paid for. So Yahweh was not going to make a special accommodation for anyone. Through the Bereth and Mikre, he was going to do exactly as he had promised. Capitalize upon them, benefit from them if you want, great. If you don't, that's fine too. Daniel was struggling to leave Babylon, something God requires of us. This integration of religion and politics, the commingling of truth and lies. That's the thing that, again, people don't understand. They look at Christianity, which has some things that appear to be true. There was a Messiah, there was a Son of God, and he was crucified. Those things are all true. And then they commingle all manner of lies that they ascribe it to a Jesus Christ who never existed. And they had Paul write the beginning of the Christian New Testament, the first 14 books, and he was demon possessed. And they can't understand how something that has some truth could be completely wrong, and it actually is. But that's the nature of Babel. Babel is to confuse and to confound by commingling truth and lies. And people just can't figure out how to get out of it. That's how conspiracies work. There is just this nuance of truth and a whole ocean of lies around it. And they are fooled by it. It's like a counterfeit bill. 99% of the strokes are accurate, but the fraction of 1% that are not makes it a bogus bill. So when we're trying to deal with God's conveyance of life, the first thing we must do is what Abraham and Sarah did. We have to leave Babylon. You just have to figure out a way to eliminate the Babylon in us. You got a black cat there, huh, Kevin?
Yeah, one of a few.
One of a few. Okay, you and Matt with cats are cat ranchers.
Lots of black cats and lots of white dogs. So
Cat. Oh, okay. All right. So you are a rancher of four-footed friends. All right. Well, we now have 12 paws and our little menagerie here too. So we're a similar situation. We have a wild cat, but not a house cat. So the dichotomy here between Daniel and the likes of Moshe and Dode, or Yirmiah and Yashaya, was enormous. His rhetoric was so divergent it warrants full and constant disclosure. For example, we are encouraged to read the Torah and prophets, to listen to what Yahweh has to say, to think about it, and then share what we have learned. Daniel was insistently conveying his preferences, which is to consistently misappropriate what God is trying to say. Now, you speak of confidence. Can you imagine having the confidence, or no, not having confidence in what you know, and you're going to denounce both Daniel and Ezekiel, which are two of the most revered prophets in Christianity and in Islam and in Judaism? Imagine doing that without complete and utter confidence that you're right.
Yeah. That comes up a lot. You just can't throw out a prophet.
Yeah, you can't just throw out a prophet. Oh, yes, you can. And you better be right about it when you do. And you can throw out the entire Christian New Testament and the pretense that there was any prophecy in it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that too. And you can throw out the Quran and Muhammad as a prophet. And you can throw out the Talmud because there's no prophecy in it either.
Yeah.
So absolutely you can, and you should, and you must.
Mm-hmm.
And you better be right, and you better have the confidence in what you're saying, because you will be attacked, right? What'd you say, JB?
I said Dabarim 18 tells you exactly what criteria to use.
It does. And the thing that about Dabarim 18 that is so seldom considered is that God begins it by saying, if I'm going to speak through a person, they know it. They know it and you know it because I've told you so. And if I haven't made it clear that I'm speaking through that person, then I'm not. And if I've made myself clear that I am speaking through that person, there's a lot of prophecy that is specific to this person and only this person meets those criterion, then you better rest assured that person is speaking for Yahweh. And speaking for Yahweh does not mean that you're going to be issuing prophecies of future events. You can be a prophet speaking for Yahweh and never once speak of predict a future event.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But it speaks of a certain level of integrity that you work to be right. And even if you say something that you don't know enough to get right initially, that when you figure it out down the road, you make that correction and go ahead. It's the thing that actually earned the trust that you and I have, JB.
Yeah.
And if you're a rational, thoughtful, judgmental individual, you're going to recognize that someone's willingness to say, I didn't have all the facts available to me at the time I made that conclusion. I now know much more than I did then. And based upon the additional facts that have become to light in this case, now I think the conclusion that we should render is as following. That is a sign of confidence and of reason and of moral integrity. And it should always appeal to the thoughtful individual.
So, the yada yada that I read 20 years ago when I first came to this, there's almost nothing like what we read now, because you've learned something. You didn't even know about stems and all that when you first started. So, that added context. Correct. Now you've got a whole new way to look at this.
Right.
And if you don't go change it for that, you're going to lose out.
Correct. And really the thing that made the understanding that Dode had volunteered to fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Makotim, and you need to understand that he volunteered for it before you can make the claim that he did it. And all of that was on proper understanding of the Hebrew moods.
Yeah.
And when you understand that Dode was saying, I want what you want, God. We want the same thing. And you're reading that Dode does this all the time in his Mizmor, in his lyrics, then you come to an understanding that Dode had decided that this was the right thing to do, and it was important for him, for God to be of like mind on this. And so it's not until you understand the implications of these moods, of what the imperative does in terms of second person volition, and what the cohortative does in first person volition, and how they can be combined together. You can't convey the true intent of those Mizmor. You'll never come to conclusion that Dode served as the Passover lamb until you can do that. And you don't start there. Learning is a curve, and it's a long time to develop that level of knowledge, and then to have that transition to understanding, so that you're in a position to have the confidence to make these connections and to share them. And every time you share a new discovery, like, for example, when it became obvious that Donald Trump was the great betrayer of Israel because of what Yashaya said, and with the timing in his description of the United States and of that man, that was one thing. And I had the confidence to come out immediately and say that Donald Trump's the great betrayer of Israel. He's the next Neville Chamberlain, and Israel is his Czechoslovakia, and the Muslims are his Nazis. MBS is his Hitler. And that took a lot of confidence to say that, because he was exceedingly popular at that point, and he was loved in Israel. And I'm telling Israel, he's the great betrayer. But it's another thing entirely to say that this man, who is so different than what everyone pictured as the Antichrist, they pictured him as the young, dashing lad, in his 30s, that's going to be the master statesman of the world, and
loved by everybody. Yeah,
by everybody. And then I come out and say, wait a minute, no, an 80-year-old man is the Antichrist. And here's the proof. You have any idea how much confidence you have to have in your understanding of the prophets to go off and do that? Yeah, this is an example. There's just lots of places where you better have the confidence in that Yahweh inspired these people accurately, and that he's never been wrong before, and this won't be the first time. So have the confidence to say, yeah, he is an old fart, but they said twice that he would be long in days. And matter of fact, and one of the presentations of him, he's in a wheelchair.
Uh-huh.
His legs finally give out. He's going to be the FDR type. He's going to be in a wheelchair, and the wheelchair is described as extremely gaudy.
That's Trump style.
That is Trump style.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. It's going to be the first gold-plated wheelchair.
Speaking of coming to new understanding and learning, who was it again who announces Yashaya 53 to understand it in the right context?
Yeah,
That's
the person who came to know the identity of the Zeroah. And heretofore, no one even knew that Zeroah was a title. And yet it's applied to Moshe, it's applied to Dode in very profound ways. Yahweh applies it to Dode in profound ways. And there are many, many prophetic statements from Yashaya to even the pronouncements made by Solomon, that the role that I've been asked to play is the third Zeroah, the one harvesting, cultivating and harvesting the seeds productively for Shabuah and Teruah. That's the role of the Zeroah, and it's prophetically declared as such. And that Dode was the Torah's definition of Zero, which is the sacrificial lamb, and that Moshe was called a Zeroah because he was the strong arm of God in delivering his people from slavery in Mitzrayim. This very, very important passage in Yeshaya 53 that explains how our religious guilt was all placed upon the Passover lamb as he took that into Sheol to deposit it, so that we could be in Yahweh's company. And when that chapter opens, it says that this you're not going to be in a position to understand what follows until you listen to the fellow that is the first to understand the identity of the Zeroah.
It's just a whole new perspective. It
Yeah,
reminds me of how long ago was it, Craig, that you deduced and properly translated Zechariah 12:10. They will look upon the one who accompanies me.
Death, right.
As opposed to everything that's in every Bible.
Right. That's the one it's as if the Messiah is coming back, and the one that is, and that he was the one we pierced so that we pierced God. But that's not what it says. It says, you will look on, Yahweh says that he is returning, and he is returning with the one you have pierced. And then we're even told that one, that the people will weep and cry as if crying for the firstborn, the Bakor, which Dod is called by Yahweh the firstborn. They'll recognize that Dod is the firstborn son of God, and that he was the one that humanity pierced to fulfill Pesach through crucifixion. And it is so profound when it's understood accurately that Zechariah 12 it pierces you in the heart. I mean, it's crying that we got this wrong, that he suffered crucifixion to give us life, and we annulled everything that he had achieved, and finally he returns as our king beside Yahweh, and they get it. And by the way, it tells us expressly that all of this is happening in the house of Dod.
Yep. And with that proper translation, you actually have pierced the Messianic and Hebrew roots movements yet again.
Yes. Yeah, it's all the way through. The insights that God has provided through our collaboration together has completely destroyed all variations of religion and all improper interpretations of God's message, so that we now have a very clear understanding of Yahweh's name, his beloved son being Dod, the fact that it is Yahweh's intent to always and consistently communicate and work through people, and that he's going to do that forevermore, and he has always done it, and he will continue to do it. And so it's important for you to know who is speaking for him, and when and where and why, to understand the terms and conditions and the benefits of the covenant, and how those benefits are delivered through the Moed Mikre, these invitations to meet, and when each of them either was or will be fulfilled, so you know exactly where you are in God's timeline and what each of those things offers us relative to our life with Yahweh, and when we're going to have the remnant of Yisrael finally purged of their religious guilt so they can witness Yahweh's return, and so that we can enter Eden and the whole earth can be transformed into the conditions that were experienced in the garden. I mean, these are just astonishingly profound and wonderful insights that bring us to a perfect relationship with our God. And there's thousands upon thousands of them. And, you know, when you look at it too, well, as you said, JB, that the Yada Yahweh series has grown because we've learned more and more, become much better at rendering God's words, much better with the stems and with the moods and the like. And a fuller understanding of the symbols that he uses and how he's going to work them together in the timeline and when things are going to happen. And so we have a much clearer picture of the ultimate puzzle that God gave us to put together as this portrait. And as you know, anybody that's ever worked a jigsaw puzzle, you always start with the frame, and then you work inside, and you put related colors and textures, if you will, together, so that you can build little subsets that are of like color and shape and ways. And then you build it from the inside out with the major themes then developed from the inside out. But once you have reached the point where you're nearing completion, the pieces just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're no longer searching and taking 3 or 4 minutes to find a piece. You can put all the remaining pieces together in 3 or 4 minutes because you've solved so much of the puzzle. And that is really where we are in this whole process now. And I think it's why Yahweh said, we need to do this as part of the Yahweh blog. We need to be speaking to people in live streams, because it's only in this way that you can bring all of these final pieces of the puzzle together and share. Because if you're trying now to make the nuanced additions to all of the books, you'd never get out of your own shadow. It'd be impossible. And so at some point you just say, okay, the books are good enough, and we're going to enhance and convey and augment this message through this very forum.
Yeah.
And I think this happens to be my favorite of them, because we can interact with one another. We can corroborate one another. We can challenge one another. We can add to the testimony. This forum here happens to be the best of them. And sometimes we even get Rich to play along. Although Rich, you noticed today, Rich was explaining all the various things that he has, because he now has 4 or 5 monitors, either maybe even 6 monitors there, between the big monitors and the laptop monitor and the suspended monitors, and then the monitors that are even on his switching devices. He went through all the things that he has to do, and he says, and then you have the unexpected and dreaded question from Yada. You're sitting here, he's sitting there focused on all these different streams. He's got like 8 things going through his mind that he's monitoring at one time, and then I'll throw in a question, and he says, say what? But that actually, it works. I think playing off of one another does work well. It's a much more enjoyable and effective way for us to communicate. And Kevin, when we get all of this new horsepower all settled in, then we're going to start a series where you and I are going to do a news series where we're going to play clips for things that in the news that pertained to the world that Yahweh has laid out in front of us, so that we can broaden our scope of people listening that are just like the Shattering Myths days. Like all of those 10,000 interviews that I did on all those different channels, will have a means to draw people in through current events and analyzing them in a way that no one else can.
Right.
And we'll be able to do what was Shattering Myths, but in video form and not just audio. And that is actually what we're working for behind the scenes. And we're going to end up having finding out when people also like you, Dr. Jeff Kirk, JB, have time. And then in addition to Kevin and I being the hosts of this, Leah and Rich and you guys and Kirk will all be able to come in when you have time. And we're going to do news review presentations and then tie that news into something that's pertinent to educate people about what Yahweh has to say. So,
yeah, I think it's going to be a fun project. I think it's
really a fun project.
It's going to be a completely different style of what we're currently doing. In a completely different audience. It will be able to, because we're going to be on X. We're going to be promoting X in a way that we don't, through the shows normally. So it's,
yeah. In fact, in that format, X and YouTube will be our primary channels. X is very news oriented, and YouTube plays very well on these multi-host analytics of video clips in the news.
Yeah.
So that is going to be the outreach. And, our realization is that we have finally come to the position where we can fulfill the prophecies as Yahweh laid them out, where a voice comes out of the heavens, literally out of the cloud, and is available to all people everywhere. And very soon it will literally be all people everywhere, because Elon Musk, within a year or so, is going to have every cell phone via one of his satellites. And so no matter where you are in the world, you can watch these vlogs and get educated on these news events. And it is it's a blend of kind of what we have done back in the days of Yada Yada Radio, blended with the Shattering Myths approach. And so we have a lot of practice at this. This is not.
Well, some of us do.
Yeah, well, okay. And
some of you have a lot of practice at it. Some of us don't want to do it live.
Yeah, but it's ultimately the thing that matters the most is knowing Yahweh and what he had to say, and having the confidence to interject into a discussion about something that is news-oriented, even if you're only asking a question, but to delve into it to make it more interesting so it's not a monologue.
Right.
Rush Limbaugh ultimately had to have Snerdley as part of his monologue, just to keep it, to make it a discussion. And, Snerdley was, it's like, might as well have been the Easter Bunny, because Snerdley was a figment of his imagination. But that's you have to have some interaction in that format to make it all work. And that's one of the reasons this program works. Although I think that the little one took Leia off to be puppy mommy at this point. And we've gone now way over our 2-hour program. So we're going to say
by
goodnight.
the way, Craig and Rich
Yes.
and Leia, what happened to that monster Melinda?
Monster
Storm.
Melinda.
Melissa.
Melissa,
the
excuse me.
Yeah,
Melissa.
Melissa. The Malak do really good work. That storm came in just. In fact, there were 2 storms that came off Africa at the same time. One went due north, and this one went south of us. And then once it passed us to the south, far enough away so we didn't have any problems with the winds, then it is now turning north. Yeah. And then after it goes north, guess what it's going to do? It's going to go east.
Right back out.
And so the thing is going to circle us. And it's going to become a Cat 4. I mean, a Cat 4 would be devastating. I mean, just devastating. But it's going to circle us, and it's a stationary storm, which are the worst kind in hurricanes. That's what happened with Dorian and the Bahamas. Is it just stayed there?
Yeah.
And it's one thing for you to get 100, 150 mile an hour winds, but they go through in a hurry. It's another thing for you to live under them for days and days and days. And that's what Melissa is right now. It's a very, very slow moving, meandering storm that could dump 2 feet of water on you and put you subject to high winds for many days. And so this is a very important storm for the Malak to have done their jobs. And it just, it's circling us. Always just far enough away not to be a problem. The reason where Jeff brought this up is that Yahweh made a commitment, is that if you do this with me, and it wasn't really any if, because he knew the outcome of what we would be collaborating on. But you do this with me, and I will protect you and your home from harm. And that was his commitment. He made that deal. And sometimes, I'll have a discussion with Yahweh and say, okay, on that deal, I would interpret somebody degrading and attacking and abusing my wife as protecting my home. So I know what you said in Numbers 12 about when Miriam and Aaron tried to do it, and it was a great answer for all of that, and I appreciate that. But we we have an agreement here, and it's not fair for my wife to be constantly abused by these idiots. So we need a solution. And so the overall protection exists, and Yahweh is insistent on providing that protection. He agreed to do it 3,000 years ago. So, he was fully committed on the answer. And the reason is that he has an agenda. There are 4 Moed Mekre to fulfill: Shabuah, Teruah, Kippurim, and Sukkah. And they're not going to happen without our collaboration together. And that means all of our collaboration together in this mission. We have to effectively work together to convey what Yahweh once conveyed, so that his people know his name again. They know what David has achieved. They know what the purpose of the Moed Mekre are. They know the timing that all this is going to happen. All the stuff that we figured out, that has to be conveyed. And Yahweh is all in on it. And therefore, just because there's billions of Muslims that want to kill me, they just can't. And rabbis that want to silence me, they can't. And magus that want me to shut up, they can't. And a mother goddess cult that is completely obsessed with trying to demean me, I'm sorry, you're not going to succeed. And the reason is that Yahweh was all in on this, and the consequence of us not prevailing is catastrophic. So we prevail. We can't rest, though, and say, okay, well, the God's written the end of the story, and we prevail, so let's go out and party. No, we prevail because we're steadfast. We prevail because we're here.
Yeah,
we're here because we do 2.5-hour family hour shows, and we're devoted to doing it. And we're going to make ourselves vulnerable because we're confident that Yahweh has our backs, and that He's using us and speaking through us in this way. So we prevail because we're devoted to it every day. That's why ultimately we prevail. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Kevin, Dr. Jeff, my good friend JB, it's always great to have you back. And Rich, the handsome master of the cables over there, and what is now a studio that overlooks what used to be my study here, where I wrote all these books. It is we have a sea of black equipment now that is just surrounding us. You look at this and you see, well, it's a really pretty bookshelf and cabinets here behind me. So what's the big deal? Well, we are literally surrounded by lights and recording equipment and microphones, and over there, multiple computers and this vast array of monitors and switching gear. It's quite the setup, and it's going to pay dividends. We're going to have some marvelous shows. It's part of why we can use those new AI cameras and do roving shots of the sunsets and of the fires and of the ocean and the islands and all of this sort of thing, is that we're really set up now to deliver a message that is consistent with the quality Yahweh wants, without being overly polished, because none of this is rehearsed. None of this is edited. It's all live streams. And, Rich would say, "You're ready to go?" I said, well, why not? We're always ready to go. And right. So he said, we're going live and we're on. And there is no place to hide. And I think that's the beauty of confidence, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you know it's going to work out, yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it's going to work out. So let's go.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where we're going to go when we begin the show. I just know that it's going to convey a message that is that Yahweh once shared. And boy, if you listen to our last 40 or 50 or 60 shows, they've all done that. They all deliver exactly what Yahweh was trying to say. And passionately, interestingly, compellingly, factually, correctly. It's a marvelous place to be. I'm thrilled we are here. Oh, well, come here, little buddy. Oh, little buddy is so sleepy. Look at this. So Leah and little Cara.
Oh, look at that.
Is that sweet or what?
What?
What, do we have a wonderful life here? I know this is just,
Dog.
oh yeah, big yawn. I've got Wookie is literally on my feet, right here beneath the desk. He is on my feet. Kara loves beards. I don't know what it is, but Kara just loves beards. And Asher is between my feet and Leia's feet. Rich, we have not gotten Rich to do the feet thing. It's not his thing. He's over there on the sofa about 4 feet away, and here we are. And it looks like we're all in the same room. You're on my deck again, Kevin. So, and
Yeah, I know.
oh, I know. So life is good. So we're happy to be able to share our heavenly home.
There you go.
In the midst of this garden oasis in the middle of the sea. Oh, there is Wookie now. You see, I'm over here with you, Uncle Rich. Look at there, and
there's Asher poking up.
Asher, yeah.
Attention too.
Asher has taken on the mother role with little Kara. Asher teaches little Kara how to the proper manners and proper means of play, and is very, very tolerant. Kara can bite Asher's ears and paws and you name it, and Asher says, "Okay, kid, that's probably enough of that. Let's back off." Kind of will nudge one paw. It's so different though than it was with the girl versus with Wookie being a boy, because Asher would take Asher's entire mouth, big Labrador, soft, big mouth, and put all of Wookie in her mouth. Carry Wookie around in her mouth, and they would be playing and wrestling, and Wookie had no fear that being in Asher's mouth with all those teeth was ever going to be a problem. But with Kara, it's a very different kind of play that, dogs are big into the difference between male and female and the way they interact. And that's what we're witnessing. And it's kind of cute and fun. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
May Yahweh bless. Thank you, Rich, for bringing us our program. And fellas, thank you for participating in this. Wookie, you were a good co-host. Looking forward to being with you over the next few weeks.
Just Gabor, and Chazak.
Yeah, but you got to be tough as nails to do this job. You got to be firm, unrelenting, and bold, exceedingly courageous. That is that's Yahweh's style. That's what He wants. That's who He is, and that's who He chooses to work through, and for good reason. It's a tough audience out there, and Yahweh has never once in all of His existence been popular with even a small minority of men and women. And so it is a very, very difficult job, and you'd better be resolute and confident and courageous and bold and firm and all of those kinds of things. As a matter of fact, that is the message that Yahweh gave to Yeshua after Moshe got him to the promised land, but not into the promised land. And after 40 years, and the responsibility was transferred to Yosha ben Nun, Yahweh's words is, "I will be with you. I'm going to support you. I am never going to abandon you. But if we're going to get these people into the promised land and they're going to inherit it, then I need you to be really shazak, bold, tough, firm, resolute, exceedingly confident." That is just like Satan has a type and Donald Trump is his type. Guess what? Yahweh has a type too. And we are Yahweh's type. Thank you for listening. Look forward to being with you in our next program. May God bless. Good night.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.